Hello, eżiż ġenituri, kustodji, qegħdin għall-laqgħa tal-benchmark meetings ta' San Nikola. Qabel ma nibda għall-laqgħa, jekk ma jimpurtax nixtieq nkun naf jekk m'hawnx xi ġenituri jew li ma tifhmux bil-lingwa Maltija. F'dak il-każ nixtieqkom tniżlu naqra fiċ-ċett biex inkun kolli konferma tagħkom. I would like to say hello to all parents. I just want to know, to make sure that everyone understands in Maltese. If not, please kindly write something in the chat so we can translate. Otherwise, we can conduct this session in Maltese only. Tajjeb, mela. Ħanispjega naqra kif se nagħmlu għal din il-laqgħa. Miegħi għandi il-Miss Carmen Muscat li hija Education Officer tal-Assessjar. Kif qedtilkom din il-laqgħa hija fuq il-benchmark li ħajseħħu bejn l-24 u s-26 ta' Mejju. Intkom tistgħu tipparteċipaw billi ikolkom mistoqsijiet, tiktbu l-mistoqsijiet fiċ-chatting. Every now and then Carmen ħassaqsini biex tgħidli jekk m'hemm xi mistoqsijiet u jien f'dak il-każ jiena nsaqsi lill-Miss Muscat biex ngħidilha x'inhuma d-diffikultajiet tagħkom. Naħseb nista' ngħaddi mill-ewwel Miss Muscat.
Grazzi ħafna, Mr. Samit. Grazzi tal-ġenituri li għana din isegwu din it-trasmissjoni li ħanamel jekk ma tippermetti li Mr. Samit kemm nixxerja ftit l-screen tiegħi ħalli naraw preżentazzjoni flimkien. Mela, illum se nitkellmu ftit dwar il-benchmark. Kif tafu il-benchmark ilu magħna issa għal dawn l-aħħar 10 snin, infatti beda fil-2011 u din is-sena se tkun l-10 sena li se jseħħ il-benchmark għalkemm ta' min jgħid li s-sena l-oħra ma sarx minħabba il-pandemija tal-COVID. Il-benchmark kien ħapost il-Junior Lyceum Examinations u ir-raġuni prinċipali għaliex kien inbidel dan l-eżami huwa minħabba l-fatt li biex ma nagħtuhx daqshekk ħanajdwek importanza li kien qed jieħu il-benchmark. Sorry, li kienet jieħu
Miss Muscat.
Yes.
Sorry, ta' biex għaxaw persuna li ma titkellimx bil-Malti biex to make you aware, okay?
Nirringrazzjak ħafna. Minn ħin għal ħin I would be translating into English, okay? Mela, kif għadna il-benchmark irreplaceja il-Junior Lyceum Examinations u dan seħ fl-2011. X'inhuwa l-għan tal-benchmark? Mela il-benchmark isir fl-aħħar sena tal-primarja, ġifieri fis-sitt sena, u l-iskop tiegħu huwa li nieħdu stampa ta' fejn qegħdin l-istudenti. U din id-data dan it-tarif inkunu nistgħu ngħadduh kemm lill-istudenti infushom, lill-ġenituri u lill-iskejjel medji ħalli meta jiġu biex jibdew isegwu il-programm ta' tagħlim tagħhom partikolarment f'dawk li jissejħu il-core subjects, jiġifieri il-Malti, l-Ingliż u l-Matematika, l-istudenti jkunu jistgħu jiġu jisegwu dak il-livell l-aktar li hu adattat għalihom. Issa, mela, aħna qegħdin ngħidu li fis-sitt sena dawn l-istudenti se joqogħdu għal eżamijiet partikolari li sejħulhom il-benchmark. Kif tafu l-istudenti għandhom ukoll suġġetti oħrajn bħal pereżempju xjenza, imma dak sissa sal din is-sena partikolari għadu ma jinformax parti mill-benchmark għalhekk l-eżami tiegħu jsir f'Ġunju. Mela, ħanaraw ftit bejn wieħed u ieħor kemm jieħdu sem studenti f'dan il-benchmark. Mela ħanibbażaw id-data tagħna, l-istatistika tagħna fuq l-aħħar benchmark li sar jiġifieri fl-2019. Fl-2019 ħadu sem ipparteċipaw fil-benchmark 86 skola. Dawn jinqasmu hekk għandna 62 skola tal-istat għaliex dawn m'għandhomx option oħra huwa compulsory li l-istudenti li l-iskejjel tal-istat jipparteċipaw. Barra minn hekk kellna wkoll 20 skola tal-Knisja u 4 skejjel indipendenti. L-ammont mhuwiex żgħir ta' studenti li jqogħdu għal benchmark, infatti jekk nieħdu perċentwal tal-istudenti kollha tal-6 sena, dan jammonta għal 84% li jqogħdu għal benchmark huwa numru sabiħ ħafna. U dejjem inħeġġu aktar skejjel mhux statali għaliex dawk għandhom l-għażla li jipparteċipaw jew le biex kemm jista' jkun jipparteċipaw ħalli huma wkoll ikunu jistgħu jaraw l-istudenti fejn jinsabu. Fis-sena 2019 kellna 602 studenti li benefikaw minn xi tip ta' access arrangement, xi arranġament speċjali waqt il-benchmark. U kellna wkoll total ta' 68 li kienu eżentati mit-3 suġġetti tal-benchmark. Ir-raġunijiet normalment jew ikunu minħabba li jkollhom xi diffikultajiet fit-tagħlim tagħhom, jew inkella minħabba li jkunu forsi barranin għadhom kif jaslu Malta jew ilhom inqas minn sentejn u Malta lura dawk jiġu eżentati. Mela għal benefiċċju ta' min huwa jitkellem bl-Ingliż ħan nagħmel ftit translation ta' dak li għadni kif qatt. Mela. For the benefit of those English-speaking parents, I would like to introduce you to this meeting. First of all, benchmark assessment take place in the 6th year of primary. It is the final school year in primary, and it has been running for the past 10 years now, because it started in 2011. The main purpose of benchmark is to see the performance of our students, to take a snapshot of our students' performance. With this performance data, we will use it to inform the pupils, the parents, and also the middle schools in which the children will be progressing, so that they will choose the path most suitable for the students in the 3 core subjects, that is Maltese, English, and mathematics. Now I'm going to give you some data, read the number of students who sit for benchmark. We will be using the 2019 data. The reason being because benchmark 2020 was not held because of the COVID pandemic. So in 2019, a total of 86 schools participated in benchmark assessments. We had all the 62 state schools, because they have no option. It is compulsory that the students there sit for these examinations. We also had a total of 20 church schools participating and 4 independent schools. The approximate percentage of Year 6 students sitting for these end of primary benchmark assessments is 84. And this is quite a high percentage, but we do encourage other non-state schools to participate in these assessments. A total of 602 students benefited from one or more access assessment arrangement provisions, and we had 68 students that were exempted from all the 3 subjects, that is Maltese, English, and mathematics. Now, when your children sit for the benchmark and they receive the results at home, besides having their score in the different components and the subjects, you also receive another mark, which is known as the median mark. Now let me explain how the median mark is arrived at. To arrive at the median mark or median score, which is referred to as the middle mark, all the marks or the scores that the students get are put in either ascending or descending order. We find the middle score, so if you have 100 students sitting for the exam, the middle score would be the 49th, the 50th and the 51 scores. What we do in that case, we simply take the average of the 51st and 50th place students. And that will give you the median score. Now, if we take the 2019 median scores, that for Maltese was 69. So that means we had 50% of the students who sat for the examination scored 69 or more. For English, the median score was 72. So 50% of the year 6 students who sat for the exam in English, benchmark English, they scored 72 or above. For mathematics, the median score was 71. So looking at those median scores, the performance of our children in these benchmark exams is good. All right, they fare really well, because if these are the median marks, they're not the pass marks, all right? They are the median marks, the middle number, the middle score. These are real high. Mela, għal-benefiċċju ta' Nis-sigwina bil-Malti, hawnhekk qegħdin naraw ftit dawk il-marki medjani ngħidulhom aħna, jiġifieri meta aħna npoġġu il-marki kollha tal-istudenti li ġabu pereżempju fil-Malti u npoġġuhom f'ordni ta' mill-kbira żgħar jew kellha anke bil-maqlub. Jekk nieħdu l-marka tan-nofs, fil-każ tal-Malti pereżempju fl-2019 il-marka kienet 69. Mela, għandna 50% tal-istudenti li ġabu 69 jew marka aktar għolja. Fil-każ tal-Ingliż, il-marka medjana kienet 72. Fil-matematika kienet 71. Kif qegħdin naraw, dawn il-marki huma marki tajbin, jiġifieri qegħdin ngħidu li t-tfal tagħna imorru tajjeb fil-benchmark u jekk forsi kellkom iċ-ċans taraw ftit it-tip ta' karti li joqogħdu għalihom mhumiex karti faċli. Jiġifieri bħala performance it-tfal qegħdin imorru tajjeb ħafna fil-benchmark. Mela, nista' nsaqsi il-Mister Zamit forsi jekk hemm xi mistoqsijiet ħalli qabel ma nipproċedi biex nitkellem fuq il-benchmark ta' 2020. Alright, ħalli nkompli ftit mela. Meta se jsir il-benchmark ta' din is-sena? Id-dati inbidlu ftit tal-aħħar. Għal din is-sena il-benchmark se jsir bejn l-24 u s-26 ta' Mejju. Il-ġranet se jkunu it-tnejn, it-tlieta u l-erba'. Se jkollna il-matematika u l-matematika hija maqsuma f'żewġ komponenti, għandna il-karta mentali, il-mental paper, u għandna il-karta fejn hija written, fejn għandna iktar mistoqsijiet pjuttost twal. Fil-każ tal-Malti għandna 3 komponenti: is-smigħ, listening, ir-writing, il-kitba u reading, il-fejn mill-qari. L-Ingliż l-istess ħaġa, għandna listening, ir-writing u reading. Forsi kif qegħdin taraw, hawnhekk għandna komponent nieqes minn dawk li saru fis-snin passati. Ir-raġuni għaliex l-speaking, jiġifieri it-taħdid, din is-sena minħabba miżuri biex nimmitigaw kemm jista' jkun il-COVID, il-pandemija minħabba l-COVID, mhux se jsir. Mela din is-sena l-istudenti mhux se jkollhom il-komponent tat-taħdid jew tal-speaking u it-tfal se jingħataw il-marki kollha, jiġifieri ħajjingħataw 20 marka. Min din is-sena se nibdew ukoll daħħalna dawk il-5 minuti ekstra qabel ma jibda l-eżami ħalli l-istudenti jkunu jistgħu jaraw ftit il-mistoqsijiet li għandhom fil-karta. Ġifieri pereżempju jekk l-eżami suppost kellu jibda fid-9, il-karti jitqasmu ftit qabel, it-tfal jingħataw 5 minuti ċans biex ikunu jistgħu mingħajr ma jiktbu xejn fuq il-karta jaraw ftit il-mistoqsijiet. So the dates for the end of primary benchmark for this year, 2021, have changed slightly. In fact, they're going to be held between the 24th and the 26th of May. We'll have the mathematics, which comprises 2 components, that is the mental paper and the written paper. We have the Maltese subject, and as we can see, there are going to be 3 components this year. That is the listening, the writing, and the reading, and the same stands for English. In past sessions, we used to have the speaking component, but as a COVID-19 mitigation measure, this was removed, and the students will be given full marks for this component, that is 20 marks. Introduced this year, we have the 5-minute period prior the examination for the students to read the questions. So before they start the actual duration of the exam, the students will be handed out the paper. Without writing anything on the paper, they can go through the questions so that they can familiarize themselves with them. Now we're going to move on to the various components and the mark weighting of each subject and component. We'll start off with the languages, that is Maltese and English. So the component that we're seeing here is the speaking. That carries 20 marks. And the duration for this component is 10 minutes per pair of students. Please note that this year, this component is not going to be held, and the students will be awarded the full 20 marks. Then we have the listening components, bil-Malti huwa l-fejn mismieq. The duration is 30 minutes, and the mark weighting is 20 marks. The next component is the reading, il-fejn mill-qari. The duration is 50 minutes. The mark weighting is 30 marks. Please note, we would have some students who would have the access arrangement for this component, which is known as the electronic reader. For those students who have this access arrangement, the duration of the exam of this particular component will have an extra 30 minutes. The reason for this is because the text, the reading text, is read twice, as well as the questions, and in a rather slow pace. So in order to to have this text read twice and also the questions read twice, the duration had to be increased to 80 minutes. All right, so the full duration for those students who have the reading electronic reader would be 80 minutes for this component. Finally, we have the writing, il-kitba. It has a 60-minute duration, 1 hour, and it carries 30 marks. And that will give you the 100 marks for the subjects, both Maltese and English. Mela, hawnhekk qed naraw il-komponenti tal-lingwi tal-Malti u tal-Ingliż. L-ewwel għandna it-taħdid li iġor 120 marka u biex isir it-taħdid kien jieħu 10 minuti kull part tal-istudenti. Qegħdin tara highlighted bl-isfar minħabba l-fatt li dan il-komponent mhux se jsir din is-sena u l-istudenti se jingħataw l-20 marka. Imbagħad għandna l-fejn mismieħ u listening għall-Ingliż. Dan il-komponent għandu 30 minuta, idum 30 minuta u bħala marki iġor 20 marka. Il-fejn mill-qari u reading fl-Ingliż isir f'50 minuta u iġor miegħu 30 marka. Ta' min jgħid hawnhekk li dawk l-istudenti li għandhom l-electronic reader u access arrangements u arranġament ta' aċċess, dan biex ikun jista' jinqara it-text li jkollhom bħala reading u l-mistoqsijiet darbtejn pass pjuttost kajman, il-ħin kellu jitwal 30 minuta oħra. Jiġifieri għal dawk l-istudenti li għandhom l-electronic reader fil-fejn mill-qari tal-Malti jew inkella fir-reading comprehension tal-Ingliż, il-ħin huwa ta' 80 minuta. Jiġifieri qed nitkellmu siegħa u kważi u nofs. 80 minuta b'kollox, siegħa u 20 minuta. Fl-aħħar għandna il-kitba, il-writing. Din għandha ħin ta' siegħa, 60 minuta u ġor magħha 30 marka. Ħanaddu issa ħanitkellmu ftit fuq kull komponent li għandhom il-lingwi. Hawnhekk qegħdin naraw nerġgħu l-speaking it-taħdid din is-sena mhux se jsir. Ħanaddu mela għalfejn mismieħ. Il-fejn mismieħ għandu żewġ tasks, żewġ biċċiet xogħol. Mela, l-ewwel waħda ikollha text jew inkella numru ta' text osra ta' madwar 30 kelma. Jista' jkun dialogu, jista' jkun monologu, konversazzjoni bejn żewġ persuni jew aktar, jista' jkunu xi tip ta' istruzzjonijiet, direzzjonijiet, pereżempju kif tasal minn post għal post, xi tip ta' deskrizzjoni, xi bulletin qasir tal-aħbarijiet li fih jista' jkun ukoll ikun hemm ir-rapport tat-tem. Hawnhekk l-istudenti kull ma jridu jagħmlu huwa billi jew idaħħlu xi kelma, jew jagħmlu xi underlining, jew circling, idawru xi kelma, il-kelma tajba. Jistgħu wkoll jagħmlu xi very good, xi tick fir-risposta jekk hix tajba jew ħażina. Ta' min jgħid ukoll li għal dawk l-exercises fejn qabel kien ikollna veru, fals jew ma semmitx true, false, no information given, min din is-sena in no information given dik waqgħet ma nista' ndaħluha iktar għaliex l-istudenti konna rajna li sibnihom kienu jitqawdu ftit. Mela, it-tip ta' mistoqsijiet li ħajkun hemm tal-veru jew fals se jkunu biss bħala veru jew fals. All right? L-option, l-għażla l-oħra li kienet tkun ma semmitx no information given, din missa sseħħ aktar, missa ssibuha aktar fil-benchmark. It-tieni biċċa xogħol, it-tieni task tista' tkun monologu, dialogu jew inkella konverzazzjoni. It-tekst ikun twil madwar 500 kelma. U l-istess, it-tfal ma jkollhom jiktbu kważi xejn, all right, kull ma jagħmlu ticking, circling, underlining, matching, etc. So, for the listening component, the students would have two listening tasks. The first task, which is rather short, can be composed of one text or a number of short texts of about 300 words. It can take the form of a dialogue, a monologue, conversation, instructions, directions, description, news bulletin, which may also include a weather report. Now, for this particular exercise task, students would be asked either to write one word or maybe numbers in gaps. They could be asked to underline, circle, or tick the correct answer. They can be asked to match or maybe label a picture or a simple diagram. And they can also have the true-false exercises. Please note that in the past, these exercises used to have a third option, that is, no information given. However, from this year onwards, this would not be included. So the students have to give either give an answer whether the statement was true or false. So there will be no information given in Maltese ma semmiċ option. The second task would be a bit longer. It would have around 500 words, and it can take the form of a monologue, a dialogue, or a conversation. Please note that in the
Ms. Muscat.
Yes.
I have a couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Can I just finish this?
Yes.
And
okay.
then I take the questions. So for the listening, in the listening component, the questions are there to test listening and not writing skills. So if the students are asked to write maybe one word and it is misspelled, all right, there will be no penalization for the spelling error. The students, all right, for the listening component will have the text recorded, and they would be given the opportunity to listen to the recording of both the texts and the questions twice. So they can listen twice to the questions and the text. Also, the students are given time to check their answers, both when writing down and also at the end of the recording, so that they will check all their answers. Mela, fil-fejn mill-mismieħ, l-istudenti ħajjiġu eżaminati fuq dak li jifmu. All right, fuq dak li qegħdin jisimgħu qegħdin jifhmu fuqhom u mhux dwar kif jiktbu. Jiġifieri jekk ikun l-istudenti kollhom bżonn jiktbu xi kelma u l-kelma jiktbuha ħażin, hija spelluta ħażin, it-tfal mhux se jiġu penalizzati. Bħala recording, all right, għax listening comprehension text jiġu rekordjati min-naħa tagħna. It-tfal se jisimgħu it-text darbtejn u anke l-mistoqsijiet jinqraw darbtejn u jingħata biżżejjed ħin bejn mistoqsija u oħra li l-istudenti jkunu jistgħu jiktbu t-tweġiba tagħhom, jiċċekkjaw u anke fl-aħħar tar-recording it-tfal jerġgħu jingħataw ħin ieħor biex ikunu jistgħu jiċċekkjaw l-answers tagħhom, it-tweġibiet tagħhom. Mr. Zammi, tista' forsi tressaq ftit il-mistoqsijiet li hemm?
Yes, mela. L-ewwel mistoqsija ħanaqra eżatti bl-Ingliż. Will the children be grouped by the results when entering middle schools, and what is the difference from annual exam results?
Okay.
Do you want me to group them, or you
all
first
right,
answer?
I can answer the question.
Yes, okay.
So in the middle school, all right, the students' benchmark results for the core subject, that is Maltese, English, and mathematics, the students will be grouped, all right, grouped because they need to follow a particular track, okay? So students who have particular cutoff, whose score falls within a particular cutoff point will follow at track 3, for example. Others falling in another cutoff point range will follow track 2. Students following track 1 would fall into another range of marks. And we also have those students who would follow CP classes. Now, for your information, the cutoff points are issued by the department in a letter circular roughly around mid-July. And they can be accessed on our website, on the DLAP website. I will give you this website URL address very soon when I come to speak to you about the general information about the benchmarks, okay? The second question, Mr. Zamit, please.
Yes, another question is about English-speaking students. Are they required to be examined in Maltese? And if not, how will this affect their overall median score?
Okay, so those students who are English speaking and who have not resided in Malta for the past 2 years, they can be exempted from Maltese. If, however, they have been residing here in Malta for more than 2 years and are not following the Maltese as a foreign language program in year 6, then they cannot be exempted from Maltese benchmark assessments. What I can say is this. Normally, the students will be able to sit definitely for the listening because they do communicate with the students at school, in Maltese, sorry, at school, and also maybe some reading comprehension. Okay, they can attempt that. But it is important that since they're living here in Malta, they do their best and try to pick up the language. Now, if students are exempted because they did not reside here in Malta for the past 2 years, the benchmark Maltese exam result will not impinge on their placement for mathematics and English track parts. However, for the Maltese, they will not be placed in track 3 because they will not be able to follow the program. So ideally, they may either ask to follow the Maltese as a foreign language program, or else they may be placed in track 1. It depends on the school. Normally, there would be some kind of communication between the primary and the secondary schools.
I have another query, short one. You mentioned something earlier, and apparently she or he misunderstood what you have said. Is it 300 words or 30 words?
No, it's 300 words for the first task in the listening comprehension component. It's 300 words. All right, hija 300 kelma.
Okay.
Bil-ewwel task tal-listening comprehension tal-fejn mismieħ. 300 words and 500 for the second task.
Yes, I have another question, query. Will the kids have to sit for the annual exams too, apart from the benchmark?
No, in the case of state schools, there are no annual examinations for Maltese, English and Maths as annual because our benchmark is considered as an annual. However, we do have students will need to sit for their science annual examinations, and any students who are following the Maltese foreign language program, they also need to sit for that particular exam in the June 2021 examination session. Otherwise, there are no other annual examination exams for primary, Year 6.
And last question, query, I didn't understand actually this one. Are students grouped by subject or all 3 subjects? I mean, is it referring for tracks? Is it?
Yes, yes. In the case of the core subjects, students are grouped by the subject. All right. So, for example, you have track. For Maltese, you have track 1, 2, and 3, and the student scoring between a particular mark, a range of marks will be follow that particular track. Okay. Then we have the maths, and the same for English.
Thank you, Ms. Muscat.
You're welcome. So we can proceed. And the next component in the language subject is the reading comprehension. Il-fejn mill-qari. Once again, we have 2 texts. We have the short text, in which the students need to write words or numbers in spaces. They need to underline, circle, tick, match, complete grids with information, and also label pictures or simple diagrams. So after reading a particular reading text, which can be very simple, it can be a poster, for example, it can be some cooking instruction, for example, the method of a recipe, or it could be an advert, or a diagram or picture or set of pictures with some text. All right, then after following reading sort of that information, the students will be asked a group of exercises about that particular text. Please note again that in the exercise for true-false exercises, the no information given option has been removed. Mela ħanirrepetu wkoll bil-Malti għax hija importanti. Mela, hawnhekk qegħdin nitkellmu fuq il-fejjim mill-qari. L-istudenti wkoll se jingħataw żewġ biċċiet xogħol x'jagħmlu. Għandhom l-ewwel task ngħidulu x-xogħol il-parti l-qasira fejn l-istudenti se jistgħu jingħataw reklam, jistgħu jingħataw xi tip ta' riċetta qasira, forsi anke timetable jew schedule ta' xi buses jew ferry, pereżempju tal-vapur. Xi poster, jew inkella jistaqsuhom xi direzzjoni li jista' jingħataw. Imbagħad l-istudenti kemm jew janderlinjaw il-kelma tajba, jew ipoġġu xi numri, ticking, matching, jew inkella wkoll jagħmlu xi labeling ta' xi stampi, jew inkella xi diagram sempliċi ħafna. Importanti ħafna dan li se ngħid diġà rrepetejtu t-tieni darba issa, li fejn qabel kien ikollna true, false, no information exercises, dik no information spiċċat. Ġifier l-istudenti jridu jagħtu bejn true, veru, jew inkella le false. Bħala tieni task, l-istudenti se jingħataw xi tip ta' text li tkun twila madwar 500 kelma. U l-istudenti se jsaqsuhom numru ta' mistoqsijiet biex jiċċekkjaw kemm fehmu minn dik il-tekst partikolari. L-istudenti mhux se jiġu penalizzati jekk jirrispondu fil-qasir. Ħanispjega ruħi. Jekk pereżempju il-mistoqsija kienet fejn kien sejjer it-tifel wara li mar fil-ħanut. All right? Mela jekk it-tifel jew l-istudent jaqbad jirrispondi straight mill-ewwel, jiġifieri it-tifel mar għand in-nanna, flok kiteb sentenza fit-tul wara li mar il-ħanut in-nanna, it-tifel mar għand in-nanna. Okay? It-tifel mhux se jiġi penalizzat għax wieġeb direttament. Jiġifieri fil-qasir. Issa, tajdu li mat-teacher bħalissa fil-klassi mhux hekk qed tgħidilhom. Alright, qed tgħidilhom biex jagħtu il-full sentence. hemm differenza bejn tkun qed tgħallem fil-klassi, allura qed tipprova tgħallem anke il-mod kif jiktbu, forsi qed tiċċekkja wkoll l-ortografija, etc. Alright? Fil-każ dan l-eżerċizzju partikolari, aħna hawnhekk qegħdin nippruvaw naraw kemm fehm it-tifel jew it-tifla minn dak li jkun ara. Alright? Allura maħniex qegħdin nippenalizzaw it-tfal bl-ebda mod jekk jagħtu ir-risposta diretta. U lanqas jekk ikun hemm xi żbalji ortografiċi. Jiġifieri jinkitbu kliem jinkitbu ħażin. Però ta' min niġbed naqra l-attenzjoni, fil-Karta tal-Malti hemm żewġ mistoqsijiet partikolari u dawn qegħdin jittestjaw ftit, jeżaminaw ftit il-grammatika. Għal dawk iż-żewġ mistoqsijiet biss, l-istudenti iva jekk jagħmlu żbar ortografiku dawn se jiġu ippenalizzati. Huwa fil-Malti biss u għal żewġ mistoqsijiet partikolari fejn jiġi indikat ikun hemm miktub ikteb Malti tajjeb. Alright, mela dak importanti li aħna niġbru l-attenzjoni tal-istudenti f'rigward il-Malti. So, those students who are sitting for the Fehim Mil-Qari, the reading comprehension text, for the second, they have a factual literary text, which is of about 500 words. The students need to answer a range of comprehension questions. Please note that students will not be penalized for giving direct, short answers. So let me explain. If we have a question where the student is asked to give us where did the student go, where did the child go after visiting the shop? If the student answers directly, he went to visit his grandma, without writing the full statement, that is, after visiting the shop, after going to the shop, the child went to visit his grandma, this answer will be considered as correct and no marks will be deducted because the student gave a short answer. Neither would he or she be penalized for any orthographic mistakes. Any misspelled words in the reading comprehension would not be penalized. The only place where penalization would be considered is in the Maltese reading comprehension. There are two exercises which are grammar exercises, and the students are informed that they will be penalized for any grammar mistakes or for any misspelled words. But it's only in this particular case that we have penalization for orthographic mistakes. Okay, we'll move on to the writing component and the component tal-kidba. Once again, we have two writing tasks. One is a short writing task where the students need to write in a short format, that is between 50 and 60 words. The short writing task can take the form of, for example, writing a note or maybe a message to somebody. It can be an informal email, an invitation, maybe a notice. Instructions or directions. For the long, hello?
Yes.
I can't see my PowerPoint presentation. Okay.
Because at some point you went off for some seconds.
Okay, should I repeat then?
I think so, for a couple of seconds.
Okay, no problem. So for the short writing task, the students may be asked to either write a note or message, an informal email, an invitation, a notice, a short, an advertisement, a short dialogue, or maybe instructions or directions. Children, it's very important that here the students write in their task in the word limit. All right, so it's between 50 and 60. Student would be penalized if they do not write in that range. Okay, so it's important that they try to stick to the number, the word limit given. When it comes to the long writing tasks, the students are expected to write text of about 140 to 200 words. Now, for the long writing tasks, students may be asked to write an informal letter, a write-up of an event, an article, a short story for a school magazine or a children's publication. And for the Maltese, in the Maltese Kidba, they might be also asked to write a dialogue. So these are the different texts they may be asked to write, the genres. Please note, for more information about the genres, one can see the guidelines that were issued. They're available in a letter circular, but also teachers definitely would know the different genres that is expected of the students. The long writing task carries 20 marks out of the 30, all right, dedicated to the writing. And it is split. We have 2 marks which is given to the plan or a sort of web, and the actual writing, which carries 18 marks. When it comes to the plan and the web, it can take any format. It can take the format of a spider web, all right, where you have the keyword written in the middle with spikes and students answering the WH questions, the what, the where, the who, the why, etc. Another type of plan would be the traditional format, where you have the introduction, points for the body, and a conclusion. Or we have students who do pictorials for the web, all right? They would draw sketches of the story, how it will unfold, how the text they're going to write about will unfold. All these are correct, and full marks would be given. Unfortunately, we do have some students who do their plan after they do their actual writing. Now, our markers do notice this sometimes, and if they have doubt, they will consult. Normally, it's the chairperson of the board, and the marks can be no marks would be given. So it's important that students do their plan before the actual writing. And as I said, it can take any format. Okay, you have the framework on which the writing would be built on. Mela, dwar il-kidba. Il-kidba għandna żewġ tasks bħalma kellna wkoll fil-listening u anke fil-reading. L-ewwel task huwa dik it-task il-qasira ngħidula x-xogħol qasir fejn l-istudenti jridu jikbu madwar 50 sa 60 kelma. Issa il-format tkun tista' tvarja mis-sena l-oħra. Per eżempju, jista' jkollok xi tip ta' messaġġ qasir jew nota, xi email informali, xi invit, xi aħbar li tkun trid twassal jew inkella reklam, dialogu qasir, kif ukoll xi tip ta' istruzzjonijiet jew inkella direzzjonijiet biex tasal minn post għal post, pereżempju. Dik tiġġor magħha 10 marki. Hawnhekk l-istudenti l-iktar li jmorru ħażin għaliex sfortunatament jiktbu aktar kliem li suppost jiktbu. Jekk inti l-istudent għandu bejn 50 u 60, irid jipprova joqgħod f'dik il-limitu bejn 50 u 60 inbili jikteb ftit kliem ieħor 5 kelmiet oħra ma jġara xejn, imma ma jaqbix aktar minn 5 kliem ekstra. Fil-kitba twila qegħdin nistennew li l-istudenti jikbu madwar 140 sa 200 kelma. U hawnhekk il-ġeneru ħafna drabi li jistgħu jsaqsu ivarja bejn ittra informali, kitba dwar xi avveniment li jkunu esperjenzaw, xi artiklu qasir, storja qasira għal magażin tal-iskola jew inkella pubblikazzjoni għat-tfal, u fil-każ tal-Malti jistgħu wkoll isaqsuhom għal dialogu. Importanti ta' min jgħid li l-kitba twila iġġor 20 marka magħha, però hija maqsuma fi 2. Għandna 2 marki għal pjan u 18 il-marka għal kitba. Importanti li l-pjan isir u jista' jieħu kull forma. Ikonna studenti li jaħdmu fuq web, jisa buta ngħidula aħna fejn ikollok il-kelma prinċipali fin-nofs u mbagħad joħorġu l-spikes minnha ir-raġġi u jikdbu xi noti li jridu jespandu fil-kitba. Oħrajn jużaw is-sistema aktar tradizzjonali fejn għandna l-introduzzjoni, għandna il-parti tan-nofs ngħidula aħna l-body, il-punti hemmhekk, u fl-aħħar ikollok il-konklużjoni. M'hemmx għalfejn jgħibu fit-tul fil-pjan l-istudenti xi kultant kelma waħda, alright, pereżempju għall-introduzzjoni, ftit kliem għall-body u fl-aħħar tal-konklużjoni huma biżżejjed. Ikollna wkoll studenti li flok jiktbu ipenġu jagħmlu sketching ta' kif se tiżvolġi l-istorja. Kull forma hija aċċettata u tingħata l-marki. Sfortunatament ikollna wkoll xi studenti li jagħmlu dan il-pjan wara li jkunu kitbu il-kitba. U hawnhekk il-markaturi tagħna jindunaw. U ħafna drabi jikkonsultaw maċ-chairpersons tal-boards tagħhom u jistgħu ma jingħataw marki xejn għall-pjan jekk jkunu nafu b'dan. Ġifier importanti ħafna li l-istudenti jagħmlu l-pjan jieħu forma kif inhu l-iktar konfidenti fih l-istudent. Mela, l-istudenti għal kull task kemm l-ewwel u t-tieni jingħataw għażla. Però ikun l-istess ġeneru, jiġifieri jekk inti għandek l-ewwel task li għandu bżonn l-istudent għandu bżonn jikteb messaġġ, l-għażla ma tkunx bejn messaġġ u reklam, imma tkun bejn żewġ messaġġi differenti. Mela, ir-raġuni hija biex ikunu ċerti l-ewwel ħaġa li l-ġeneri kollha saru fil-klassi, alright? It-tfal kellhom iċ-ċans jipprattikaw. U barra minn hekk ħan ikunu fer ukoll ma' kulħadd li il-ġeneru l-markaturi jkunu qegħdin jikkoreġu l-istess tip ta' ġeneru. Mr. Zammit, jekk hemm forsi xi mistoqsijiet nista' naħodhom?
Yes, Miss Muscat.
Grazzi.
L-ewwel waħda m'iniex ċert fuqha eżattament xi jrid jingħad. Only science exam as end of year annual exam? Ma jidherlix li qedna is-science exam biss hux veru.
Mela ħanajdek, mela fl-annwali l-istudenti tal-year 6 jibqalhom biss il-science x'joqogħdu għalih, però għandna wkoll numru żgħar ta' studenti li qegħdin issegwu il-programm tal-Malti għall-barrarin, Maltese as a Foreign Language Program. F'dak il-każ dawk l-istudenti joqogħdu wkoll għal dik il-karta partikolari, però l-maġġoranza tal-istudenti ikunu diġà għamlu il-Malti, l-Ingliż u l-Matematika bħala benchmark. Alright? Li jibqalhom biss hija x-xjenza, is-science bħala annwali.
Thank you. Hawnhekk għandi mistoqsija, when will be the revised timetable be issued?
All right, mela bħalissa qegħdin nistennew ftit aktar informazzjoni dwar tfal li forsi bħalissa mhux qegħdin jattendu l-iskola. Kif ikollna d-direzzjoni ħanoħorġu ċirkolari waħda fejn fiha nikludu il-tibdil li għandna fit-timetable tal-benchmark kif ukoll xi informazzjoni li nkunu nixtiequ ngħaddu kemm l-iskejl u kemm lill-ġenituri.
Mela, ħanipprova naqqad 3 mistoqsijiet f'waħda. Qed jisaqsuni x'jiġri jekk l-istudenti ikunu ma jifilħux bi kwarantina, jekk eżempju ma attendewx l-iskola matul is-sena skolastika, dawn ħajmissjaw il-benchmark, u għandi mistoqsija oħra rigward id-dyslexia, x'jiġri dawn jieħdu mark inqas?
Mela, ħanibdew ftit kif għattilkom ċirkolari dwar it-tibdil fid-dati tal-benchmark ħarġit din il-ġimgħa stess minħabba li din nistennew ftit ħanaraw x'direzzjoni ħajtuna dwar dawk it-tfal li mhux qegħdin jattendu l-iskola u anke dawk it-tfal vulnerabbli minħabba il-benchmark. Kif ikollna dik l-informazzjoni nkunu nistgħu ngħadduha kemm lill-iskejjel kif ukoll il-ġenituri. Jiġifieri dak jinkludu wkoll dawk tal-kwarantina se ta' min jgħid li l-benchmark aħna jkollna it-tieni sessjoni li ssir f'Ġunju. Jiġifieri dawn isiru f'Mejju l-ewwel sezzjoni imbagħad għandna għal dawk l-istudenti li jkunu ma jifilħux. Alright, jew inkella dawk l-istudenti li l-iskejjer tagħhom ma jipparteċipawx fil-benchmark imma xorta jixtiequ joqogħdu għal benchmark exams, ikonna sezzjoni oħra u din is-sena se ssir bejn id-9 u l-11 ta' Ġunju. Ġifieri jekk it-tfal ma jkunux kwarantina hemmhekk ikunu jistgħu joqogħdu għalihom.
Ifhimni din hija relatata ma' dak li għadek kemm fil-fatt saqsitna waħda jekk ir-reliġjon mhux se jsir eżami u rigward id-dati rġajna fuq l-eżamijiet ġifieri.
Mela, l-reliġjon fil-primarja l-eżami annwali kemm tal-reliġjon kemm tas-studji soċjali m'għadux isir. Dawk huwa bbażati fuq il-continuous assessment xogħol ieħor li jsir matul is-sena. Alright, issa dwar id-dati kif għattilkom, kif ikollna iktar informazzjoni x'ngħaddu lill-ġenituri u l-iskejjel se toħroġ letter circular oħra. Okay? Dwar il-dati tat-tieni sessjoni dawn se jsiru bejn id-9 u l-11 ta' Ġunju. Ħanitkellem dwar it-tieni sessjoni iktar il-qudiem.
Thanks, Miss Muscat.
Alright. Għaddu issa għal-matematika. Il-matematika hija maqsuma f'żewġ komponenti wkoll għandna il-karta mental paper li tieħu 15-il minuta u ġġor magħha 20 marka. Il-karta l-oħra mbagħad hija ir-written paper għandha tul ta' siegħa u nofs u ġġor 80 marka. So for mathematics we have 2 papers. We have the mental paper which has a duration of 15 minutes and a weighting of 20 marks. On the other hand, the written paper carries 80 marks and it has a duration of 1 hour 30 minutes. We'll start explaining some points about the mental paper. So, the mental paper is composed of 20 short graded questions plus 1 practice question. Now, why was this practice question introduced? The mental paper is recorded. So the students will not have their teacher reading out the paper, but they listen to a recording. Now, since they're not accustomed to the voice of the narrator, the person who is reading the questions, we gave 1 practice question which the student can opt not to answer, all right? But at least they are being accustomed to the voice of the person reading the questions. So the practice question, even though it is there, it can be left out because the students will not be given any marks for that. On the other hand, the 20 short graded questions, all right, they are read twice. The questions are read in English, but the instructions are read both in Maltese and in English. If anybody would like to hear these mental paper recordings, we have them available. We have all the past papers available on the website, which is known as the DLAP. Now, I can give you here the URL address for this website. It's very easy, www.curriculum.gov.mt. I will be giving you also, I have included also at the end of this presentation. So, il-karta mental paper, the mental paper, hija magħmula minn 20 mistoqsija li huma gradati. Hemm ukoll mistoqsija oħra li hija ta' prattika biex l-tfal peress li il-mental paper hija irrekordjata, it-tfal forsi jisibuha ftit ħanajdu hekk diffiċli biex widnejhom toqgħod għal vuċi tal-persuna. Allura il-persuna ħassaqsi mistoqsija waħda fil-bidu ħalli ikunu jistgħu jidraw il-leħen il-vuċi ta' din il-persuna. M'hemmx għalfejn jirrispondu għal din il-mistoqsija, jekk iridu jistgħu jirrispondu, però ma jmux se jingħataw ebda marka għal din il-mistoqsija. Imbagħad jinqraw l-istruzzjonijiet kemm bil-Malti u kemm bl-Ingliż u wara jgħaddu biex jinqraw il-mistoqsijiet. Dawn se jinqraw darbtejn u jinqraw biss bl-Ingliż. Min jixtieq jisma' recordings ta' dawn il-saq tal-mental paper issibuhom fuq il-website tad-direttorat tagħna. Min jixtieq jieħu nota ta' din il-website, l-indirizz tal-website huwa www.curriculum.gov.mt. Jiena inkludejta wkoll fl-aħħar slide biex jekk ikun hawn xi ħadd ma laħaqx niżilha jkun xorta jista' jkun available. Ta' min jgħid li din il-PowerPoint presentation tinsab ukoll f'din il-website. Okay? Mela, imbagħad ngħaddu għal xi ħaġa żgħira fuq il-mental paper. L-istudenti waqt li jkunu qegħdin jisimgħu ir-recording u qed jinqraw il-mistoqsijiet jistgħu jiktbu jieħdu forsi xi punti fuq il-karta stess. Infatti il-karta jkollha ħafna spazju fejn it-tfal jistgħu jieħdu noti u jistgħu jaħdmu wkoll il-working. L-importanti li wara li jaħdmu l-working il-tweġiba l-answer jiktbuh fil-kaxxa fejn suppost jiktbu l-answer. U m'hemmx għalfejn iħassru dak li jkunu kitbu jew ħadu nota ta' dak li qegħdin jisimgħu. So, when the mental paper is being listened to, heard, all right, the students can jot down notes in the spaces provided on the paper. It's important that once they work out the answer, that answer is written in the box intended for the answer. Okay? Please note that any working or note-taking can be left as is on the paper. The students don't have to rub off any note or any working that they do on the paper. The important thing is that the answer is written in the box intended for the answer. All right? So the written paper. For this paper, we have 16 questions. The first 4 questions carry 4 marks each. The next 8 questions, that means from question 5 to question 12, they carry 5 marks each. And the last 4 questions, questions 13, 14, 15, and 16, they carry 6 marks each. There is working space available on the paper for these questions where students can show the answer, they're working, And particularly as from this year, for questions 15 and 16, students will be awarded marks for their working. It can actually be pictorial form, all right? So for questions 14 and 16, the students are encouraged to show the working because they will be given marks for the working, all right? The working doesn't have to be working the sum, but it can be pictorial, maybe a better pictorial understanding of the question being asked. So this is something new. It's important that the students are aware of it. Do we have any questions on mathematics?
No, Miss Muscat, nothing.
Okay, ma nafx spiegħajt din bil-Malti. Importanti ħafna li naħan nirrepeti ftit l-aħħar punt hawnhekk bil-Malti. L-istudenti x'inhu jkunu jagħmlu il-karzat tar-written paper tal-mathematics dawn se jkollhom 16 mistoqsija, għandna l-ewwel erba' li għandhom 4 marki kull wieħed, 8 mistoqsijiet b'5 marki kull wieħed u l-aħħar 4 mistoqsijiet li jġorru magħhom 6 marki. Fuq il-karta l-istudenti ħajkollhom kaxxi fejn jistgħu jagħmlu l-working tagħhom. U minn din is-sena għal mistoqsijiet numru 15 u 16 l-istudenti se jingħataw il-marki għal working. Jiġifieri hija xi ħaġa li ġiet introdotta din is-sena u importanti ħafna li l-istudenti jagħmlu l-working m'hemmx għalfejn jaħdmu s-somma, imma anke pereżempju jpinġu biex jieħdu il-ġist ta' dak il-working li qed issaqsi minnhom il-mistoqsija. Mela ta' min jgħid li il-benchmark, il-karti kollha tal-benchmark jiġu font partikolari li huwa l-Andika size 13 u raġuni għaliex għażilna l-Andika l-ewwel ħaġa għaliex huwa dyslexic friendly, ġifieri l-istudenti li huma dyslexic huwa font li jaqraw faċilment. Barra minn hekk jekk taraw ftit pereżempju fl-eżempju li għandna hemmhekk il-A ta' Lazy Dog A, taraw li hija kif jiktbu l-istudenti. Alright, u mhux dik it-tipa li il-font li normalment nużaw fil-materjal printjat li konna. Barra minn hekk meta tuża dan il-font fil-Malti, l-artiklu il-ittra kapitali I u l-L żgħira bħalma din naraw fl-artiklu il-kelb huma jintarfu minn xulxin. Alright, mela hekk biex niffaċilitaw aktar ukoll il-qari tal-kliem li jkun hemm fit-text. So for all benchmark papers come in font style Andika, which is dyslexic friendly. We use size 13 for all the papers. The reason for using the Andika font is because it is dyslexic friendly. And also when it comes to the writing of the word A, all right, it's written how children written and not how normally it is found printed in books. And when it comes to the Maltese, there is clear distinction in the article il-kelb between the capital I and the L, which in other fonts, it's not so the case. Also, all benchmark papers are printed on cream-colored paper because it is dyslexic friendly for all the students. Please note that any paper, examination paper that is printed at our center, that is the Educational Examination Center, is printed in cream color for all students, both in the primary, middle schools and also secondary, because we're trying to have more dyslexic friendly examination papers. We talked already in a very short about the second session. So this will be taking place in June, from the 9th to the 11th of June, and it will be held after office hours. Normally, it is held in the afternoon at around 3 at a central place in Floriana Primary School for Malta and in Gozo at the Education Office. These students who sit for the second session are mainly two groups. We have those students whose school did not participate in the first session. So these would be non-state school students. Their school did not participate, but parents want their students to sit for these examinations. Normally, even those students who would be opting to try their luck and attend the national sports, who will be applying for the national sports school. Also, students who were sick for the first session or maybe would have been in quarantine, they can automatically sit for their examinations, benchmark examination in the second session. So we have two centers, one in Malta and one in Gozo. From your end, parents only have to provide a passport-size photo to the school if their student did not attend the first session of benchmark, and otherwise the school will automatically apply for the students for the second session if they were sick or in quarantine. Għal dawk l-istudenti li joqogħdu għat-tieni sessjoni l-eżami se jsir bejn id-9 u l-11 ta' Ġunju wara l-ħin tal-iskola, normalment ikunu xi tlieta wara nofsinhar u jsiru f'post ċentrali wieħed f'Malta u l-ieħor f'Għawdex. F'Malta dejjem isir il-Floriana Primary School. Mela, ikonna żewġ gruppi ta' studenti li joqogħdu għal dawn l-eżamijiet fit-tieni sessjoni. Għandna dawk l-istudenti li l-iskejjel tagħhom ma tipparteċipawx fil-benchmark għall-ewwel sessjoni u għandna wkoll dawk l-istudenti li għal xi raġuni jew oħra kienu morda jew inkella din is-sena forsi jkunu kwarantina. Hemmhekk kull ma jridu jsir min-naħa tal-ġenituri huwa li jippreparaw passport size photo u jingħata lill-iskola. Ħalli mbagħad l-iskejjel kull ma jagħmlu jinformawna li dawn l-istudenti ġejjin għall-eżami tas-second session u aħna nkunu nistgħu nkunu preparati għalihom. Il-ritratt tal-passaport jitwaħħal fuq kard li jintbagħat mill-iskola lilna fiċ-ċentru. Għawdex ukoll isir il-benchmark fil-każ li jkun hemm bżonn u dan normalment isir ir-rabat fil-uffiċċju tal-edukazzjoni. Mela, meta l-karti wara li jsir l-eżami, l-karti kollha jinġabru u jittieħdu f'post ċentrali. L-ewwel pass li rridu nagħmlu huwa li l-isem tat-tifel jew it-tifla flimkien mal-index number jitneħħew issa u jiddaħħal flok office number. Ir-raġun hija waħda għaliex dawn il-scripts se jgħaddu għand il-markers u l-markers ma jridux ikunu jafu min huma l-istudenti li qegħdin jimmarkaw il-iskript tagħhom. Mela, aħna żgur il-karti li ngħaddu lill-markers ma jkun hemm l-ebda indikazzjoni ta' min hu. Kull skritt ħajjiġi immarkat minn żewġ markaturi. L-ewwel ġimgħa jiġi immarkat minn markatur, imbagħad fit-tieni ġimgħa jgħaddi għand xi ħadd ieħor, markatur ieħor. Fuq l-iskritt ma jitniżżel xejn, ma jinkiteb xejn, l-ebda tick, l-ebda cross, l-ebda salib, l-ebda very good, la marka xejn. Għaliex ħalli it-tieni markatur li ħajkun qed jikkoreġi l-iskritt jirċevih mingħajr ebda marka, ħalli l-ebda mod ma jiġi influenzat bil-marka li jkun ta' il-markatur qabel. Il-marki jiddaħħlu f'sistema ta' portal mill-markaturi u hemmhekk wara 15-il ġurnata fejn iż-żewġ markaturi jkunu daħlu l-marka, il-marki jitqablu. Jekk ikun hemm diskrepanza kbira, meta ngħid diskrepanza kbira, pereżempju fil-listrik jekk ikun hemm differenza ta' żewġ marki bejn iż-żewġ markaturi, jew inkella fil-reading comprehension jekk ikun hemm differenza ta' 3 sa 4 marki. Fil-writing ma jridx ikun hemm iktar minn 5 marki. Jekk ikun hemm differenza, dak l-iskritt jinqala, jingħadda għand markatur ieħor, jiġifieri t-tielet wieħed, u t-tielet wieħed jerġa' jimmarkah. Issa, jekk ma jkunx hemm diskrepanza kbira bejn iż-żewġ markaturi, toħroġ l-average mark. Fil-każ jekk jiddaħħal it-tielet markatur, il-marka tat-tielet markatur tiġi konsidrata bħala il-marka ta' dak l-iskritt. Ħafna drabi biex tkunu tafu, il-markatur, it-tielet markatur, ikun l-uffiċjal edukattiv tas-suġġett. Mela, wara għal-ħabta ta' Lulju, il-marki jintbagħtu lura lill-iskejjel fis-sistema tal-My School. Hemmhekk jiġu imbagħad pubblikati għall-ġenituri. Minn mindu tirċievu r-riżultat, il-ġenituri ikollhom 5 ijiem ċans biex jaraw jekk jaraw xi diskrepanza kbira javviċinaw lill-iskejjel u dawn jistgħu jitolbu għal dik li tissejjaħ review. Biex issir review hemm ċerta kriterji li ħafna drabi aħna ninformaw lill-iskejjel bihom. So, some information about the marking process. Once the students finish their exams, all scripts on the same afternoon are brought centrally to a particular venue. Here, all the names of the students on the scripts and the index number have to be removed, and an office number is given to each script. The reason for that is so that markers will not know whose scripts they are marking. In the first week, we have a number of markers who actually mark the script. There is no marking on the script, so you don't write or tick or cross the answers, not even writing the marks on the script. Marks are inputted in a portal. The second week, another group of markers correct the same scripts. So we have marker A and marker B for a script. So after 15 days, marks would have been inputted in the portal, and the 2 marks of the same script are compared. If there is a discrepancy of marks, for example, in the listening comprehension, there is a discrepancy of 2 marks for the reading comprehension between 3 or 4 marks, and for the writing component from 5 to 6 marks, then that particular script has to be marked again by the 3rd marker. Now, in the case where the markers marks are not so far away between them, there's not a large discrepancy, then the average mark is allotted to the child. On the other hand, if a 3rd marker is involved, the 3rd marker's mark would be considered as a result for that particular script. Results will be sent to schools roughly in the first week of July, which are then made available on My School and also posted to parents. Once parents receive the results, if they have any difficulty or maybe they are concerned and would like to ask for a review, they need to ask to approach the school. The school have a set of criteria to see if the review can take place. If so, they would inform the center unit. So here is our details. I have written here the curriculum, the DLAP website address is www.curriculum.gov.mt. If there are any questions, sort of, in the coming days, and you'd like to ask any questions about Benchmark, you have an email address where you can do so, or you can telephone our numbers. Mr. Zami, do we have any questions?
No, Carmen, there are no questions.
Okay, what I would like to do, if you don't mind, I would like to speak very shortly about the access arrangements. During benchmark, some students do have are given access arrangements. So the arrangements can be either the reader, which is the electronic reader for the reading comprehension, and we also have the reader for the written mathematics paper. We have the scribe for those students who write illegibly. We also have the multiplication tables or grid available for the students, and also the communicator and the amanuenses. Now, the communicator is for children who have hearing impaired difficulties, and the amanuensis is a person who, for example, if a child fractures his hand or maybe has problems writing, he has sutures, etc., the student, for example, if a student fractures his hand on the eve of an examination, parents are asked not to panic. All they have to do is, after they go to the clinic or hospital, they need to ask for a note from the health profession, okay? They present to the school the following morning, and an adult will be available for this to write down all the child dictates for his examination, okay? And we can do this from a day-to-day basis. It depends if an accident happens. Mela, għal dawk l-istudenti li għandhom diġà available li psychological reports, u fatt l-iskejjel diġà tawna l-informazzjoni, aħna noffru dak li jissejħu access arrangements. L-access arrangements li aħna noffru huma il-reader huwa l-electronic reader for reading comprehension tal-Malti u tal-Ingliż, il-fejjim mill-qari. Għandna wkoll ir-reader adult għal dawk l-istudenti fil-matematika, fil-karta tar-written. Għandna wkoll il-scribe għal dawk l-istudenti li l-kitba tagħhom mhix daqshekk tiftijem ma tiftijimx u biex nagħmlu karta aċċessibbli għal markaturi. Għandna wkoll il-multiplication table. U għandna wkoll il-komunikatur għal dak l-istudenti li għandhom problemi bis-smigħ u jekk jinqara l-każ li pereżempju xi ħadd jikser idejh, alright, tippanikjawx. Importanti li meta tmorru għand il-health clinic jew inkella l-isptar iġibu karta fejn tindika lit-tifel jew it-tifla tagħkom kisret idejha pereżempju jew għandha xi punti tippreżentawha lill-iskola filgħodu u l-iskola jisibu xi ħadd adult li jkun jista' jikteb dak li t-tifla jew it-tifel ikun jixtieq jikteb fil-karta tal-eżami. Alright? M'hemmx għalfejn tippanikjaw, nieħdu ħsieb ukoll dak il-każ. Grazzi ħafna, jekk in the meantime ikolkom xi mistoqsijiet, ħablux magħhom tistgħu taqbdu iċċempluna jew inkella tiktbulna email. Aħna jdina s-servizz tagħkom. Nirringrazzjakom ħafna tal-attenzjoni.
Grazzi Miss Muscat.
Grazzi.
Dik il-taħdita informattiva ferm. Grazzi wkoll il-Mr. Jeffrey Zammit li għamilha ta' interpretu wkoll fl-istess ħin. Min ikollu xi diffikultajiet dejjem jista' jiktibhom fil-chat u nippruvaw nirrisponduhom mill-aħjar li nistgħu. Grazzi ħafna tal-li wkoll inqaqgħu magħna. Lejla tajba.
Grazzi.